Hi, I'm Kat and I play red. I've been spending some time on the channel talking about some older Euro games that don't get the love that we think they deserve. Now, today we're going to look at a game that I've been thinking about covering, but it's actually become super relevant now. Because Plan B are doing a super deluxe, fancy, pimped out, all the stuff version. So today we are going to look at Village from Inka and Markus Brand. This one is the old version. I'm desperately holding it together because it's absolutely jam-packed full. This is the old version from Pegasus Spiele and Spiele. As I say, Plan B has just announced a big fancy reprint. So let's have a look at how it plays. Village is a worker placement game where players play as an entire family. Some will find prominence in the church, some as tradesmen, and some in the council houses. However, as with life itself, the one thing we cannot stop is the passage of time. Family members will pass away, making room for a new generation, and hopefully will be memorialised in the Village Chronicle, and hoping they don't end up in a pauper's grave. Now, at its heart, this is a worker placement game, but it's very different to others you may have played. So let's start by looking at your workers and your player board. Your workers all have a number on between 1 and 4. Each number represents a new generation of your family. At the start of the game, in your farmstead, you will start with all your number 1 workers and the rest off the board. When you take new workers, you must take them in numerical order. So initially you're going to take your number 2s, then once you've taken all of them, your 3s, and then eventually your number 4s. Like most Euro games, we have resource cubes here. We have wheat as a commodity and gold. The other thing we have here, though, is time. Time here is an essential resource and represented by this track on the outside of your player board. Whenever you see the hourglass figure, this is a cost that needs to be paid, and you're going to move your time marker round. Every time it goes past the bridge at the top here, one of your family members is going to die. So at the moment, I only have my level 1s. They're always the first to go. These guys are in the homestead, which is represented by this little purple shield here. So if I had to kill off one of these Generation 1 workers, he would go down here and in the purple spot in the Book of Remembrance. Now, if I had these guys on the board, let's just pop these here, I can choose which level 1 family member would die. So I could choose this tradesman here and he'd go in the yellow bit, or this minister in the church, and this is the brown shield, so he'd go there. If there's no more spaces in the Book of Remembrance, then sadly they get a pauper's burial. So if I had this and there's no more room in the brown, we're set up for a 2-player, he would go over there and be buried in a cardboard box in someone's back garden. But these are all alive for now, so I'm going to put them on my board, and then let's have a look at the spots on the main board and how you take your actions. The easiest spots to have a look at here are the marriage circle and the farming circle, so we'll look at them first. The marriage spot here essentially allows you to take another worker. So I need to take one of these cubes here. I'm going to take the brown, pop it in my farmstead, and I get to take a new worker. So at the moment I have all my ones, so I'm going to take a number 2 worker and pop him in my homestead there. The farming action here, again, you must always take a cube when doing an action. So I'm going to take a cube from there. You must have workers in your farm, and going there will allow me to take 2 wheat. If I have farming equipment as shown here, I can take more, but I don't. I just have a worker in the farmstead, so I get 2 wheat, and that is going to go on my player board here. Now you can have as many resources as you want on the board. You can have as many cubes, as many gold, as many workers, but you can only have a maximum of 5 wheat as shown here. So let's have a look at some of the other spots on the board. Let's have a look at the tradesmen. Now, the tradesmen allow you to produce various goods. So we have a plough, a cart, oxen and horses and scrolls, and here we can trade wheat for money. So again, the first thing I need to do is take a cube from the spot. We'll talk about the black cubes in a minute, but there is a reason I'm not taking them. So I'm going to take that cube. Now I can choose if I want to put a level 1 or 2 family member in here. I'm going to put a level 1. Now all the information you need is on the board. It costs me 2 time to place that worker there. Now if I want to manufacture this cart with him, it's going to cost me another 2 time. Alternatively, I could just pay the cube shown. So I wouldn't have to put a worker in, I'd just take the cube, pay those resources and get a cart. But I want to put my dude in, and I'm going to take a cart and pop that in my area. Now I've got enough for what I wanted to do. Let's pop over here and look at the travel area. So again, the first thing I do is take a cube, and I'm going to pick a worker. I'm going to pick a number 1 worker to start travelling. So if I want to travel up this road here, that's going to cost me 2 brown cubes, 1 cart and 2 time. And my family member goes there. So I put these back into the supply. I'm going to gain 3 points. I pop a disc there, 1, 2, 3 points, and put my worker back. So that is the travel area. Let's have a look at the marketplace now, because that's kind of right in the middle. Now, in a 2-player game, you're only going to have 1 cube there, and that sucks because that's a plague cube. So I'm going to take that plague cube, but it's going to cost me 2 time. And already you can see I'm almost at a point where my first dude is going to die, which sucks. But that's how this game works. So now I've called a market. I can take any of these 3 tiles available if I have the required goods, which I don't, so calling market would have been a bit of a dumb move. But let's just say I had these, I'm going to take that cube. Now, any other players can choose to pay a green cube and a time to take these available goods. The other nice thing with the market is you can always see what's coming up. So if I'd taken that tile no one else had, these would move up and we pop another tile at the bottom. So you always know what is going to come up for market, and you can prepare. At the end of the game, you'll score the points shown here on the top left of the tile. So this one would be 5 points, 6 points, 3 points, and so on. So you don't score those immediately, but they can be a nice bump to your score at the end of the game. Now let's go over to the council chamber here. Again, I don't have what I need for it, so it would be pretty stupid to go there, but let's show you how this works. I'm taking a cube. I'm actually going to use my number 2 guy here, and the reason for that being that the number 1s are going to die out. Being in here at the end of the game will give you points. So if I was here, I'd get 2, here I'd get 4, here I'd get 6. So these are points you'll get at the end of the game. So it's worth not putting your really low level guys in here and in the church, which we'll go on to. So I put my guy in. I'm going to pay a time. Then I need to pay either a scroll or 2 green cubes, so I can choose. So let's just pretend I've taken them, and I take this ring, which gives me first player for the next round. As you go higher up in the council chamber, the benefits get better, but the costs get more expensive. So you'd have to pay 2 times to go in here, but it would gain you 2 cubes of your choice. You pay 2 times and move up to here, and you'd get a goods tile of your choice. And then the final space here will cost you 3 times, but it means you can swap a coin for 3 points. So if I'm here, if I move up here, I can actually choose if I want this action or any of the ones lower than me. But for now, I'm there. That is my only option. Moving on to the church. Now the church is quite interesting. I'm going to cheat here. No one saw that. I'm going to take a cube, and I can choose to put one of my workers into the bag. Okay, so I'm going to pay a brown cube and put one of my workers into the black bag. So one of my workers into the black mystery bag. Now this comes into play at the end of the round. The black bag will start with 4 monks, I think they are, in it. So that's currently what's in this bag. At the end of a round, we're going to call a mass, and what that entails is drawing 1, 2, 3, 4 workers from the bag. Now, luckily, my guy came out. It would have been a bit boring if I hadn't. And I'm going to pop him there in the church. I can then choose to pay wheat to advance him up here. The advantage this gives you is at the end of the round, when you do mass and you pull the workers out, whoever has the majority in the church will get 2 points. Also, like the council house, at the end of the game, you will gain points for your position within the church, which is why you don't necessarily want to pop this one here, because he's probably going to die before the end of the game. But for now, we put him back in there. So that is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actions on the board. Let's do a few more and get an idea of the flow of the game. I've got 1 worker left here, so I probably want some more. So what I'm going to do is take another green cube and take another level 2. I probably need to manufacture some stuff as well. So I'm going to take a green. But what I'm then going to do is I'm actually going to go for a scroll, which I can do rather than paying the time and putting a worker in. I can pay 1 pink cube, there we go, and take a scroll and just pop that in my area. So don't forget, whenever you take these black cubes, you're going to take the time punishment, which funnily enough I think is going to be what I'm going to do. No, I'm going to take a brown cube from here and I'm going to make another cart, which is going to cost me 2 time. I could have paid for it with cubes, but I'm actually going to spend the time. My guy's already trained, so I don't have to pay this 2 time. However, I have to pay the time it costs him to make that cart. And in doing that, I've taken my time marker over the bridge. Okay, so now I need to choose one of my workers, one of my family members to bump off. So it has to be a number 1. So it could be this tradesman, this traveller, or this farmer. I think for now I'm going to take the farmer from here, and because there's the purple shield, he goes on the purple spot in the Book of Remembrance. So now I've got enough to do my next lot of travelling. So I'm going to take another black cube, pay the 2 time for the plague, and I'm going to move to here. So it costs me 1 pink and 2 orange, and a cart, and 2 time. So you can see how quickly this time circle happens. I put a disc on there, and I get to take a coin. Now, coins are rather cool. They can be used as any colour cube over the course of the game, but at the end of the game, they're going to give you 1 point each. So I'm going to pop that there for now. Play in a round will continue until all the cubes have gone off the board. And now we're officially at the end of the round. No more cubes. We're going to officially draw for maths. So let's draw 4. Yeah, so my guy's come out. He's going to go there. Put those back in the bag. I'm then going to pay 1 wheat, to move him up a spot. I have majority in the church, so I'm going to gain 2 points. Going into the new round, we need to reseed the board. Now, there's a little card for each player count and each expansion that tells you what cubes need to go in the bag and where they go on the board. So, as I said earlier, this is 2-player, this is the base game. So we're going to need 3 pink cubes, 4 green cubes, 3 oranges, 1, 2, oops, that's one way to do it, and 4 brown, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to put all of those and all our black plague cubes into, I'm going to say the green bag. They'll have changed the colours on the reprint, but you know. We shuffle them up, and then according to the chart, we put 1 on here, 2 here, 2 here, 2, 3, oof, 1, that hurts, 2, 3, and 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the manufacturing area. I'm going to put that little ring token back, and play will start on a new round. The game will end when either the Book of Remembrance is full, remembering that in a 2-player game we can't place on these spells, or when the Pauper's Graveyard is full. At this point, everyone else, except the player who finishes the game, gets 1 more turn. You're going to call a mass and then move on to endgame scoring. At the end of the game, you're going to get points for travelling. So the number of discs you have on the travel map here will indicate the number of points you get. So I have 2 discs, so I'd get 3 points. Obviously, the more you have, the more points you get, which is great. Then we're going to move on to the council chamber. Let's say he was there. So you're going to get 2, 4 or 6 points depending on where you have workers. If I had 2 workers on there, I'd get twice that score. So you're going to score each individual worker. So in that case, I would get 4 points. Then we're going to move over to the church, which operates in a similar way. Depending on the position of your workers, you're going to gain the indicated points. So here I'd get 3. Then you're going to score your market tiles. So it might be, let's say I'd been productive, I'd been Rob for the game. So I would get, 17, 20 points from those tiles, which shows you how quickly those points can add up. You're going to get 1 point for each coin you have. And then you're going to score points for the village chronicle. So this isn't a great example. Let's put some more in. Except he wouldn't be there because not all my ones are. But so here I have 4 workers. So as shown here, that would gain me 7 points. If you have 3, you're going to get 4, and 5 is going to get you 12. Add all of that up, and whoever has the most points is the winner. We love Village. This has been a long-standing favourite of ours for a long time, and I think, honestly, we were both surprised to discover it's only 10 years old, because it feels like we've been playing this for a long time now. The first time I played it, I was terrified about losing my family members. But that really isn't how this game works. You've got to kill them off. I think I've got quite a few family members I'd quite like to do that with. You have to kill them off, because that's how you get points. That's how you get your better guys out in the church and the council houses. The concept of time is genius. I can't think of another game that utilises it as a resource in such a way. Another thing to note, if there's only like a black cube there and you'd like to do this action, you can always do any action by paying 3 cubes of the same colour. So if I didn't want to take this black cube, or if there were no cubes on here and I wanted to take the farming action, I can always do that by paying 3 cubes of the same colour. So I could pay 3 green cubes and do this action to gain the wheat. So there are ways around the black cubes. In some ways it's a bit like a Zool, because you put off going for that big clump in the middle, but the longer you put it off, the worse it gets. So you will end up taking black cubes. You will end up killing off your family members, and that's fine. Honest. Don't tell your mum I said that. There's a lot of elements. The best thing I find is kind of stick with one and dabble in others. I love the travelling element. Rob's a big fan of the market. Partly depends what cubes come up. So there's random elements. Same with the market. You know, you can always see what's coming up, so you can always prepare for what you might have a chance to sell. So I know, like, this cart is coming up, or the plough and the horse. So you can plan in advance, hoping that someone takes the market action when you're ready for it. We like this. We like this a lot. Plan B are doing a big box that includes the port expansion, which covers here and gives you rivers to transverse. Also the inn expansion, which adds beer as a resource and cards that have different abilities. And I think there's also going to be some new content. So that's going to be tough, because do we need a new copy? I don't know. I don't think so. But it's got new stuff. They keep doing this to us, don't they? So that is Village from Inka and Markus Brand. Not to be confused with My Village, which is a different game by them. Very different game. Check it out now, have a look. Plan B are showing the photos and images of the prototypes and stuff, so that gives you an idea of what the new version looks like. Go and have a look. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, click like and subscribe. Not enough of you are subscribing, naughty people. So click subscribe, please. Come and say hello on my socials on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I play red. See you next time. Bye.